Alright, ladies, I'm going to say something that you need to listen up to if you want to have your man communicate. So, a lot of women don't deserve their man to communicate. Now, stay with me for a second. This is not hating on women. This is expressing a truth that I've learned as part of a men's mental health group and everything that I've heard as a part of that group. Men don't feel safe and comfortable to communicate with their wives. Every time they come home, they say, I had a hard day. And then the wife's like, well, look at me. I had a hard day too. I had all the kids. Are we really going to take every opportunity that you have to speak life back into your husband or your boyfriend or your fiance, and you're going to take that opportunity to make it about you? You have a hard day at home. There is nothing easy about being stay at home with the kids. There's nothing. You might have a job. If you go out to work, we understand that you also have a job. But you need to understand that, imagine how you would feel if you came home from a hard day of work and your husband just said, screw you, I look what I did. And then you're like, yeah, but I need extra support today. What do you think you're going to do? Are you going to come to him the next time? Are you going to come to him and be vulnerable? And so women want vulnerability, but they're not willing to offer support. So if you are a woman who is really good at offering your man support, I have found one of those women, and I can tell you that my life went from being with a woman who treated me like dog crap and didn't care a lick about what I said or what I felt. If you can treat your man with respect, if you can allow him, now not every man's going to be good at communicating no matter how good at you are at receiving the communication, but there are plenty of men that if you gave them the opportunity to go unjudged, unloved, or it's not unloved, don't make them go unloved. If you can show them love by allowing their vulnerability, by respecting what they have to say, by not feeling attacked by their feedback. If you ask a man for communication and he doesn't give you the communication that you want, like for example, you're like, we need to communicate. You do need to communicate. But if you're asking him to just tell you what you want to hear and that's not how he really feels, you're not asking for communication. You're asking for permission to do what you want. Vulnerability is only facilitated and possible and productive for a man if he's actually being heard. Why would he drop his guard if you're going to throat punch him? Might as well keep your chin tucked at that point. So a lot of men have their chin tucked because society will punch them the second they open up. Okay? Or they'll use the words. Wives will use the words against their husband. So their husband may say, or nitpick at what they say until the interpretation is wrong. Even on TikTok, I know every time I make a TikTok video, you guys in the comments take the words that I say and you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you. You nitpick at stuff that I didn't even say. Don't do that if you want a good communication. I'm not your husband. I don't care. You miscommunicate with me all the time. Whatever. But with your husband, ladies, you gotta learn to facilitate good communication. You gotta say, if you want him to communicate, you have to learn how to receive communication. You have to learn how to communicate with him, not communicate your feelings and expect him to, bow to your knees and kiss your feet? No man wants that. Men want to feel respected. Men want to feel respected. They want to feel loved. And they don't feel loved and respected when their communication falls on deaf ears, or even worse, when it's used against them. They can't be vulnerable under those circumstances. You have to create a safe enough space for them to feel safe, right? So if you are in a relationship or a marriage that is struggling, I highly encourage you to take what I am saying and apply it in your home. And if you don't know how to receive communication, maybe figure out maybe Google a bunch of videos on how to make your husband feel supported, how to make your husband feel respected, how to make your husband, don't look up, how do I make my husband communicate? You can't. That's not in your control. So low-key, in a way, I'm telling you stuff that may not work because I'm saying this is how you can change someone else's behavior, and we can't control other people's behavior. But if you want to influence their behavior, If you know that your husband doesn't feel safe talking to you, figure it out. Gosh. See, I'm communicating with you. I'm your big brother. I'm your little brother. I'm the cousin, right? I'm your uncle, depending on how old you are. You got to figure it out. I'm telling you this stuff because we don't have a relationship. So I'm telling you this because you can attack me in the comments and leave. Or you can stick around and find out what I'm trying to tell you because it's important. If you want a good relationship, you got to listen up. I'm being very blunt because you don't listen to anyone else. So I'm proud of you guys. If you're able to implement this, go Google how to allow your husband to be vulnerable. What can you do for him, not what can he do for you? John F. Kennedy says, ask not what this country can do for you, ask what you can do for this country. Well, what can you do for this relationship? Don't ask what he can do. He's probably doing as much as he can. Maybe he's not. That's a whole different video. If he's not doing everything that he can, that's fine. But sometimes you're going to have to lead with that feminine touch. No, not that kind. I mean, maybe. But leading with the feminine touch means that you don't, like leading, people say men are the leaders of the relationship. Women, you know you have a lot of influence. You are a leader too. This is your home. This is your life too. You just lead in a different way. You lead by making him feel great about himself. You lead by example in terms of if you want him to communicate and be peaceful and kind and loving, well, guess what? It's going to be easier for you women most of the time. I'm a pretty vulnerable man. And I get crapped on, but I still have that ability to stick through it. But I shouldn't have to. If you want a man to communicate, you better allow him to communicate well. Understood? Get it? Got it? Good. Go look up how to support your man. Go look up workshops or videos or therapy, but not a therapist that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. Because therapy is geared towards women a lot of the times. Therapists want to hear what the woman has to say. Society sees you as the victim. You're not the victim. And if you are the victim, you need to get out of the relationship. That's one thing. I'm talking to you, man to woman, woman to man, right? And I'm telling you that something's wrong with the way that you're doing something. And if it's not, obviously great. Then the relationship is not. But if you haven't done everything in your control to make your man feel supported, how can I sit here and call you a victim? Now, obviously, if you're being abused, if you're being hurt, if he throws things, yells, that's not what I'm talking about. So don't try to say that that's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Get out of that situation if you're being abused. But I'll tell you what, the more you make him feel respected, loved, valued, the more results you're going to get in the communication department. Understood? Okay. Go try it.